Okay, welcome back to the Trickway podcast, people. I am Trev, and that's Mr. Gray. I think he's looking at me, but he's probably looking at something else. Say hi to the people,
Yeah.
Mr. Gray.
Hi. Sorry, I was trying to get
He's
up our
looking for
thing
the
on
live
YouTube
stream.
there.
He's looking for the live stream. So we've changed things up
Started.
ever so slightly, guys. Gray's just checking out the live stream to make sure everything's good, and Mr. Gray is going to do me a solid. I don't know why it's not here. He's going to keep an eye on
I
any
hear you.
comments that come in, aren't you, Mr. Gray? Because I
Okay.
forgot to
Yeah,
call that up. So
yeah.
you'll be able to help me out.
I'll look over every so often.
So we just changed it up a little bit for the start of Discovery because I want to try and make the channel a bit bigger and better, along with Gray's help. He's been here from the start helping us out. It would be very boring if I'd done that myself, so thank you, Mr. Gray. We're
No
literally
problem.
just using OBS to make it a bit more glamorous. Going live so that if there's any comments and stuff, people can join in and talk to us live, and you know, something you like or you agree or disagree with, you can tell Gray and I. We do
Sure.
gaming as well. We done last week. We started Star Trek Resurgence as well, so we are going to be doing that from time to time. And probably you might see us. Well, you will see us pop up on YouTube Shorts and the dreaded TikTok. Oh, why I was talked into that, I'll never know, man. But it seems to be what the cool kids want, so you know, we'll put after this. I'll probably put some videos on there as well. So, yeah, we've got a double bill, Gray. How's it been without Star Trek for a while? Is it? Are you glad it's back,
Uh,
or what?
oh yeah, it's been rough without Star Trek. So I'm glad we have something to watch. I mean, even if I'm not a huge fan or whatever, Discovery doesn't matter. You just want to see something that's Star Trek,
That's
and
fair.
we're already suffering from the fact that we have to wait so long for things to happen now. I don't know if the fans out there realize or kept up on this, but Strange New Worlds isn't going to premiere until 2025, and they didn't really say when in 2025.
Probably the
So it
start,
could be
surely,
early
man.
or mid, or something. So all we really have to look forward to is the current Discovery, Section 31 movie, which is also going to be they saying at the end of this towards the end of this year.
Do not believe it.
And then Strange New in 2025, but that's it because by the time they get Starfleet Academy, which is a joke, done and up for us to watch, it's going to be 2026 probably.
You mean
So
Academy 90210 or
Starfleet
whatever it
Academy.
is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh, I'm so not looking forward to that thing.
They're building big massive sets though, which look kind of cool. So
they could build the Empire State Building as a set. I wouldn't want to. Still don't. I'm not happy about it. I mean, ugh,
do you know what
but,
I'm not happy with? And I meant to do it. And I meant to tune it out for the last time, and I forgot to. The Discord green bar around the outside. Remind me next time, Gray. I need to. I can, it's easily. I just need to crop it in more.
yeah.
Yeah. Anywho. We have got a double bill of Star Trek to talk about today, which I'm glad because the episodes probably won't be as long as they usually are in the past, just because I don't want to really put pages of notes down. I want it to be more of a review rather than a monologue, and
Mhm.
and our opinions on things, Gray. And if we go on a tangent, that's fine. But they probably will be
It
less
still could
than
be just as long when you start
it
rolling.
could be. Yeah, but then if it's like a 10-minute review and 40 minutes of waffling, that might be bad potentially.
Mm.
But anywho, we'll crack on with the first episode. Now, Gray is not. Listen, this is one. This is a series that is probably closer to the bottom when it comes to Star Trek series. Right? It's not the worst,
Mhm.
but it's far from the best. And Gray and I both agree
Yeah.
on that point. However, Gray dislikes it more than me, and I've read through the notes that he's added to mine, and I can see that. Bias coming out, Gray.
I was trying not to. I really was.
I know, but you're like, well, we'll get to these bits, and I'll challenge them. and see what you say.
I'm probably more like that because I love Star Trek so much, so I'm going to be even harder on it, generally speaking.
True, true.
Because
I
I
mean,
know what's capable. Well, we'll get into it.
yeah, we will get into it. 100% we'll get into it. So we saw this in a teaser trailer before. It opens with Captain Burnham surfing an alien ship. cool.
I love when you said surfing. It does
But
look like
why?
it, though, doesn't it?
She was surfing. She's holding on it. Go, woo, yeah. Like, I was
I'm
like,
sitting there
wow.
going like, right.
You don't enjoy that. I'm sorry. Even if you're qualified, like to be on a spaceship, like walking on the outside of a spaceship, you're not enjoying it. She's a couple of crystals short of a warp core
Yeah.
potentially.
I also have a hard time believing she could even stay on the outside of the ship through what's going on, grab boots or not. I have visions of being ripped into a bunch of tiny pieces.
No, where's your Star Trek technology know-how? It's the bubble. The bubble itself is going at warp speed. The ship is actually stationary inside the bubble, so she's fine.
Yeah,
I
I don't
know,
know.
I know, but I mean,
I still think there's other forces at work there. Otherwise, everybody would go outside for a look. Hey, let's all go outside and hang out on the ship.
why not? Why not? It seems like the cool thing to do.
Well, assuming that we're going to say that's true for the moment, okay, then the problem's going to happen is that when they come out of warp, she'll be ripped to pieces because it's just not going to work that way once you come out of warp.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, you see that later on at one point actually, and it confuses me because
Yeah.
the
I mean,
inertial dampeners are part of the ship, but how far do they actually reach out?
I
You know, we
cannot
don't know.
imagine. Right. I cannot imagine that when that ship comes out of warp, like we saw it did at one point, she would have to be ripped to shreds. I'm sorry.
Did
It's
you
almost like the wake of a boat.
did you not see her go backwards though? Like she actually like
Yeah.
popped herself out. I'm sure she done that while the ship was just about to come out of warp, and that
Yeah.
didn't make sense to
And of
me.
course, at that speed, she would know exactly when to jump. I'm sorry. That's just like,
That bit was silly. That bit was silly. It's
yeah.
Star Trek isn't like a jolly, you know. Like you can have
Okay.
fun and excitement and pew pew, but you don't go to that level. That's like an adventure day out. That's not really Star Trek, guys. But I mean, I'm nitpicking, aren't I? Of course I'm. So
Or
yeah,
not. It's true.
yeah, we weren't. I wasn't a fan of that section. Either was
Yeah.
great. But that was 4 hours in the future. Then it pans back to 4 hours earlier, and I liked this little bit. This was a little cool detail, Gray. They're all in their equivalent of 10 forward. I can't remember if it was if it was on the Discovery, or if it was actually at Starfleet HQ. Let's say the Discovery, and they're having a celebration. And it seems to be back in the 32nd century. They drink booze again. No synthahol. Synthahol's gone again now, which is great. Synthahol. Whose idea was that? Gene Roddenberry's. Sorry.
That's actually a pretty good idea, though. What happens if they decided they had to go red alert and they had to go run around? They're gonna go, "I'll be with you in a minute."
that could be no. You missed a trick there, mate. You could have so much better. You could be drunk on the bridge, just fire. Attack. It wouldn't
A
work.
little too
It'd be
late, and
hilarious.
you get blown up. The only one I would trust, maybe on the bridge if he was drunk, would be Scotty. Maybe, because he could hold his liquor down.
Oh, so good, so funny.
That'd be great.
Yeah, it wouldn't work practically, but you know they're supposed to be off duty when they're drinking. That's the fair point, the fair comeback to that.
Okay.
But it was a cool little celebration, Gray. It was 1,000 years since the birth of the Federation. That was cool.
Hey.
I liked that, man. That was a good little point. 1,000 years, and there's actually a game called Birth of the Federation, which is a RTS game on It's a 2D game. I don't know if you ever remember this, Gray, or played
Yeah, I
it.
did. I don't remember playing it. If I did, but I remember the name.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's so hard to try and find now. I need to try and find it. It's hard to make this game work on a Windows PC now because it's so old, which is ironic, but I recommend that one, guys. There's good news for Gray. We find out they're getting rid of the Spore Drive program.
Oh, okay. Before we even get to the Spore Drive, to clarify a little bit at the beginning of this episode, where they came out with action. The only thing that I didn't like about it, and we see it as we go through the episode, so I'm not really revealing anything. There's just, to me, there's way too much unexplained action throughout the episode, and I've seen this in other shows too. And my comment is basically, why would you have to learn how to write well when you can just throw down a bunch of action and basically
cover up,
get
yeah.
away with it with people that don't really get into writing? And that just annoys me because it's Star Trek, and I know I sound like a freaking broken record every time, right? But if you just take the writing of this series and others too, in the Star Trek newer realm or whatever,
Yep.
and compare it with the writing of The Expanse, you see the difference. Or take it all the way back to the writing of the original series. Don't take away for the moment the fact that it was older technology, and it doesn't look as sharp as today. I get it.
Yep.
But if you take him as a story, as a science fiction story, all that stuff was written much better. And The Expanse doesn't make mistakes like this.
Yeah.
They don't. They just don't. They back up everything. They explain everything. And like you and I have always said, and it happens a lot in The Expanse, sometimes it's just a one-liner that perfectly explains everything.
They do both of them well. They do good story writing and good special effects. And they're accurate.
Everything you can want.
Yeah.
So we know it can be done.
There wasn't much sex in it. So
no, true, but there was
very, very
little
start
here and there.
maybe, but
Yeah.
anyway.
But yeah, we can forgive that. We'll just put in our own we'll just put our own edits into the episode.
Oh, I'm sure you have, Gray. I'm sure you have. But yeah, so what I meant.
Yeah, go ahead. Spore Drive.
What that was a good point about going back a little bit sooner, because when they're having their little celebration, celebration has a bunch of them there. Stamets is there as well, and that's when he mentions the spore drives going. He has got this kind of new job role, if you like. I can't remember what it was. He's a bit gutted. The gist of it is the spore drive's going because they can't safely roll that out across the fleet for navigating. You need a navigator. They couldn't use the what they called the tardigrades from before because that was just cruel. They couldn't use just any human being. Only certain people could do it. And even then, you saw Stamets. He had the little control things in his arm. That was not ideal at all. So it's a problem of trying to roll it out across the fleet, Grey, in which case they have to get rid of it. That ship's then very valuable, the Discovery. And, yes, Grey makes the point. It does make sense to have it more in the 32nd century than the 22nd, 100%.
Right.
Or 23rd. Is it 22nd? 22nd, 23rd.
It's like saying 23rd, yeah. But that's the thing that's so ironic, because we hate the spore drive, always hated the spore drive. But when you take it in terms of 10 centuries from now, 10 centuries or so, you could almost believe, okay, they figured out how to do the spore drive. Okay, I can probably go along with that, being 10 centuries. I still don't know if I would like it a lot, but it would make a hell of a lot more sense than having it in the 22nd or 23rd century. So I'm glad it's gone, but it's just ironic that actually it would have been better if it was originated in the 32nd second century.
Well, if they had to even add to your point further, Gray, if they'd got rid of it, but got rid of it back in the 22nd century or whenever it was, after the first season or something. Mm-hmm. See if they just had it for season 1 and they got rid of it and they'd be like, okay, right, this is not going to work. It's ahead of our time. We don't have a navigator. They got rid of it back then.
More trouble than it's worth.
It would have been more cool. And then say they go through another few seasons, right? And they get catapulted to the future again, right? And then they go, oh, we've got this spore drive sitting there that we can't use because welcome to the 32nd century. We can fix your navigation problem and we'll roll it out to everyone.
I think what you just said would have been perfect. That would have been the way to do it. It really would. And look, again, we're not brain surgeons. We don't write movies, and yet we come up with great ideas. And so do a lot of other fans too. But
Gray and I don't ask for much when it comes to if they want to hire us as writers. We're not greedy. We won't ask too much. We'll just ask for the norm, and you're welcome.
Well, not that I'm saying we're ever going to get hired for that, of course, but there are people that basically are idea people because they can't write a script, but they can come up with story ideas. How often have you seen credits sometimes where it says story idea, and it has the person's name, and then it says teleplay or script by totally different people?
Yeah. That's a good point.
So I would think that I would consider you and I, let's say, story idea people. And then we would expect people that are used to writing science fiction and love Star Trek, to flesh out the story idea into a real thing.
Yeah.
And that would be fabulous. I don't care if it's me and you, it'd be great, but somebody should be, well, on Picard season 3, that's kind of what you got with Terry Matalas. The dude definitely had story ideas that worked. And if you look at the writing of season 3 on Picard, it's I'm sorry, it's far above stuff that Discovery puts out. I mean, there's no doubt.
Oh, that's night and
You
day
know,
difference. It really is.
right, and that's my point.
Yep.
If you see that it's been done, you see that it can be done, and the writing, generally speaking, is better on Strange New Worlds, than Discovery, except for
Mm-hmm.
those one or two quirky episodes. Again, it can be done. So if it can be done and you already did it, why aren't you doing it for all the shows? Or whatever. But that's another story.
Can you imagine if Terry Matalas had show ran season 5 of Discovery?
Oh, yeah, he would have thought up something better. I don't know how much he would be able to
There's only so much he can do. Yeah, yeah.
Right, but he would have had better stories. He wouldn't have just thrown things together and say, we don't need a story. Just throw the action down. No one cares. Okay.
And the thing you mentioned near the start, Gray, of they splatter a bit of action throughout the episodes unnecessarily. Like we want action, but we want it to make sense and not to just cover up for the lack of bad writing or lack of ideas. So I agree with that point. Just before I forget. So yeah, we have a gutted Stamets because the sport. I mean, I get it. Like that was his baby. I get it. Him and that other scientist from the USS Glenn. That was their baby. It's gone. It should be going, and we'll actually be looking at alternative FTL drives as well, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I've spelt Saru wrong. Apologies. Gray kept me on the right spelling there. He's been offered a position elsewhere. We like Saru, Gray. We like Saru. We like Burnham. He's been offered a position elsewhere, kind of ambassador type role. But the problem is that would mean him leaving Starfleet, and he's kind of getting it on with the Navarre president. Navarre being the Romulan and Vulcan back together again, reunification, and she's in charge of them, and they've kind of got a thing going, which is really sweet to see. He's in a difficult position. He isn't really sure what to do. And we won't spoil it by deciding what he does decide he's going to do. I mean, ultimately, you have to have him around in some shape or form, Gray, don't you? Because if he leaves and he's hardly in the season anymore, it's going to be shit by default, isn't it? In my opinion.
I mean, my feelings about Doug Jones. That's the guy who plays Saru. He's one of the best, if not the best, actors when it comes to trying to get under all that makeup and make it totally
playing an alien. He does it well.
He played a very important alien part in Babylon 5, and in that series he was fabulous. In this series he's fabulous. Anything he touches, you look at the alien and you don't even think alien anymore. That's how good he is. Have you ever see how watch when you see Saru walk, right? You ever notice how his arms are dangling?
Yeah,
and
he does.
He's always moving them.
It's
okay.
Like...
Well, do you know that's a lot of care in an actor to remember this every time. When he walks around, he never forgets that.
Great.
And you could easily just kind of slough that off. Who the hell cares, kind of thing.
He
cares.
He's missing a couple of glow sticks though, because I think he would he would kill it on the dance floor. I'm just saying, he would absolutely kill it with the little waves and
He'd probably dance even under all that makeup. And remember, the guy's walking on heels like this big, because he has like the weird shape hoof.
It's true. He's really tall. He's really tall, by the way. Like when you see him standing beside Burnham, I mean, he was taller than Sonique to begin with, but with these boot things on he's got, he's a lot taller.
And I'm telling you, every time you see scenes of Saru with Saru in it, generally speaking, especially when he's with Burnham, I mean, it's complete scene steal. Those scenes are usually the best. They don't even come close to any other scenes in the series. So when I was watching it, you know how you watch sometimes, especially with Star Trek, you get kind of emotional a little bit on certain episodes because it's because it's done so well. Like on season 3 of Picard, that's all you felt the entire time.
Oh wow! My heartstrings were pulled constantly. Everywhere. Wow.
Exactly. So whenever Saru and Burnham are in the room, I get those feelings right away. They just
Yeah,
click, man. They just click.
they do really well
You know,
together. Those two, they're
nobody else
brilliant.
clicks because I can't believe I'm sorry, but I cannot. I'm not sold on the relationship between Burnham and Book. I'm just not. It just doesn't. It just doesn't seem real, man. It just doesn't.
Okay,
And
okay.
yet you can get a guy dressed in a bunch of makeup and make it look real. Make
Well,
it real.
hold off on that till we get to him, because I do want to discuss that with you, Gray, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so Admiral, or as I call him, Dadmiral,
I
because
love that, Dadmiral.
he's the admiral, but he's also
That's
the
great.
cool dad character. Um, he appears and he gives this little infinity symbol to Burnham, something about you're coming with me, and and then they teleport to the White Room, and then I automatically start thinking X-Files or some shit. They've been beamed up,
Yeah.
literally. um, and who's there? Dr. Kovic. Now, listen, I love Dr. Kovic, great. Let's discuss Dr. Kovic
Mhm.
and Admiral Vance, because Kovic, he's bloody weird. He wears a
Yeah, he's good. I
tie.
like him.
He wears a tie. He wears glasses. He's a doctor, but he seems to outrank bloody everyone, including the
Mhm.
president, I think, sometimes. Um, he looks like the G-Man from Half-Life a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
He's got
he
that
does.
shady character to him. He's the G-Man. I expect him to just, you know, kick my ass or
By the
something.
way, do you see how we've been talking about that character, about Dadmiral, about Captain Raynor? You see how we talk about them? Because the funny thing is those
They're cool
characters and
characters.
those actors are better than almost the whole cast of Discovery.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
are.
The
Flat out, they are.
and the thing is, right, see the other bridge characters, right? This is not a slight on them. This is the
Right.
writing. Give them more limelight. The lady, Akoshawa, I'm probably pronounced that wrong, the black lady with the long kind of braid hair, she was really cool.
Mhm.
There was an episode that focused on her a bit more, about her
Mhm.
family, which was kind of really cool to see. But they don't do that enough. They don't focus on the other
Yeah.
characters enough, and it's not
Right.
on the actors that play them. It's on the writing. On other
Right.
Star Trek series, you never see that. You always
Right.
have episodes that are unique to a character, and maybe the crappier characters don't get as much limelight, but they always get some limelight. And I don't expect you to love all of them, but I expect us to love and like more of the bridge crew than we currently
Sure.
do, and we don't. Not many of them.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It's a good point, Gray. It's a very good point. So yeah, Kovic, brilliant. The G-Man, Dadmiral Vance. I love that guy. He
Yeah.
also voices a character in Destiny 2.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
Okay. Cool.
very important character actually, and I love Destiny 2. There was
Mhm.
also another guy in Destiny 2 that the black ball guy from Fringe. He was in Destiny 2,
Mhm.
and he's probably been in Star Trek as well. He passed away as well, and they all had
Well,
like a.
Lance Reddick. Lance Reddick was
That's
in
it, yeah. And they had an
Destiny too.
homage to him in the game, which was corny but
Mhm.
sweet at the same time. So yeah, like these guys voice characters all the time. Also, the lady with the really deep voice, the Israeli actress from Expanse, the president lady.
Oh, right. Yeah, I can't think. Yeah,
She's
yeah,
been
yeah,
in it
yeah.
as well, Grace. She's been in Destiny 2 voicing characters, so yeah. Anyway, sorry. Tangent, what we like.
Yeah.
So they go into the room, they go into the sort of, we waffle, guys. We review the episodes in 10 minutes, but we always expand on it. It's a podcast. It's a visual podcast,
Right.
so our audio. And they're
Well,
discussing, it's a secure room, this. In fact, Gray, what did you make of, before we spoil it and go further ahead, what did you make of the Infinity Room? Did you think
yeah.
that's overkill? Do you think it was cool? What?
No, I thought it was cool. It reminds me, in a funny way, years ago when they had that comedy show Get Smart, and they used to lower the cone of silence over the two guys, and they'd be talking
I don't
in
remember
these
this. That's
plastic
funny.
cones. But the concept is good because the concept of even that, even though it was a comedy, was that once this thing was lowered over them, nobody can hear you. Period. End of story.
Hmm.
Nobody. So I really think that's actually a good thing because when you do want to just talk to somebody and you need that kind of super secret whatever,
Yeah.
I thought that was okay. That didn't bother me. I thought it was cool.
Only one of them had the little infinity symbol thing to beam in there. I thought that was some sort of security thing, but only Burnham had it.
Yeah,
I didn't see
I,
Admiral
I,
with one.
I didn't understand that entirely because he gave it to Burnham but then he also he had one or he gave it to someone. I don't know. I
And he
lost
took
track
it.
of
He
this
took it
thing.
back at the end as well, if you remember.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there thinking to myself, if that's the key to get into the Infinity Room, then doesn't he have one too? Why do you have to give it to somebody? That's what I'm talking about with the writing. It didn't make any sense. I'm sitting there going like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
Why would he
yeah.
be? There was no real cohesiveness
If
there.
they both had one, but then they took it off of Burnham at the end because she hasn't quite got into the gentleman's club quite yet, then that would have made more sense. Yeah. But yeah, no. So this room is kind of cool. Bit far fetched, but it's a very ultra secure room, so I get it. And white is very much the color of the 32nd century. My God, there's white everywhere. Starfleet
Yeah,
HQ is white. In fact, I don't like the
yeah,
look of Starfleet HQ. It looks like an exotic ornament that you would hang
yeah,
on like your
yeah.
ceiling or something. It's
It's a
weird.
little too bright. Yeah,
And if you remember
everything's
the last season where bits of it separated and it went to warp, I was like, that's a bit of my chandelier going to warp. What the actual that was just weird. I mean, listen, if it looked more realistic, like a space station, and bits come
uh,
out and go to warp, I can get behind that. But yes, this is what Gray and I are talking about. Some of the things are a bit too far fetched, even for the 32nd century. But yeah, so the discussion is of they found an 800-year-old Romulan ship. That's what we see in the teaser trailers before. I can't remember the class of it. We no longer have the warbirds anymore. That's a thing of the past. They're too big. It's the more modern, slimmed down version of it that we're seeing, and no one's found it all this bloody time, Gray, in 800 years. I find that hard to believe, but okay, never mind. And they're discussing something called the Red Directive. Now, I've never heard of the Red Directive at all
yeah, I
before
have
in
either.
Star Trek. Have you? No?
Nope,
No.
nope. Red directive, prime directive, blue,
It's
yellow, black.
it's the yeah. Gray's literally noted that down as well. He's not just saying that. This is new to me, and it's I think it, but the gist of it, it's the highest directive you can get. Is it
Right,
higher than the prime directive? I'm guessing probably by the way the episode unfolds.
right.
And they literally need to jump immediately, stop their boozy party to celebrate the birth of the Federation. They have to get there now. So I almost wished I had more sound effects lined up and I could press the black alert button just for Grey. It's black alert time, Grey. It's black alert time. And obviously the ship's going to literally spore drive there immediately because, as it turns
Because
out,
it's the only one that can.
well, it's the only one that could get there immediately, yes.
Yeah.
But they have to because they have to get there before someone else does. And it turns out someone else does get there before them. Let's meet our antagonists. Let's meet the guys that will be up against. Probably not the end boss, but they're cool, these guys. So the two characters are called Maul and Lack, right? And they seem to be like they're lovers essentially. Without spoiling it too much, Gray, what was your impression of them? I liked them. They were kind of cool. So far,
I thought
so
they
good.
were.
Yeah.
I got something that's interesting to them. Again, characters that are more interesting than the cast.
I don't know
But
what
yeah,
species Lack is. I know what species Maul
yeah.
might be, but let's not discuss that now because we might be spoiling it. But Lack looks like something you'd maybe shoot out of your nose when you're blowing it. I don't know. He just looked he looked weird, man. Like a Klingon without the bumps
Yeah.
and stuff, almost, and the makeup and the hair. A bald Klingon.
Maybe a little Andorian on the side. I don't know. Yeah. Well, I'm sure we're gonna find out.
Oh yeah, 100%. There'll be more to tell for sure. I reckon this season will be better than other seasons, but we'll see. We'll see. It's just me being
It's too early.
pretentious. So those guys are already there trying to steal the thing out of the Romulan ship that they were there for, the treasure in the first place. And there's a bit of a shoot 'em up on the ship because Burnham, I can't remember who went down with her, Burnham and Saru. There was a couple of them anyway. They went down to the ship to try and find out who it was. And you probably noticed this as well, Gray, which I thought this was cool. This is 32nd century technology. Try saying that 10 times really quickly once you've had 10 pints.
Uh,
And the whole thing is, right, they've got this, everything's linked to their badge, right? This little computer here where the comm badge would be, everything's linked to it. Teleportation, phasers, data pads, everything you can think of is there. And if they do a certain gesture with their hand, little ring comes up and the weapon comes out and it's a phaser. It just materializes, which is cool. I like that. That's 32nd century coolness. We want that. But when they do an almost like, it was almost like a quick motion. Can you imagine if they'd done the wrong thing, Gray, and it was like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and it turned into flowers or something?
or a banana.
Shit, a banana, no!
Maybe aiming the banana. Oh, no.
Please, no one clip that. That didn't look. It looked inappropriate. I get that. But yeah, so they do a little gesture, and it turns into a pulse rifle, a phaser rifle. That was cool, Gray. You noticed that, didn't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just felt that was too easy though. So it kind of to me.
How is it too easy? Why?
It just screams crutch to me. They're going like instead of, having to worry about the fact that you don't have a phaser rifle, they just have one. Like, I don't know, a little too easy to me. I'm not saying it couldn't be done if you could say anything about the 32nd century, which is also part of the fun and part of the problem, because you could sit there and go like, well, they could be able to do anything. They should be almost gods by then.
True.
And stuff. But
True.
you don't want to go that far. But I just thought it was way too easy just to sit there and go like, I don't have to worry about this phaser. I just go ka-jing, and it turns into a phaser rifle.
It's a difficult one though, Gray, because it's how do you do 32nd century, but without it being too ridiculous? It's their own doing. It's their own undoing. Sorry, of having to jump to the future to escape their mistakes, so that you're so far ahead in the future that you could do things that are ridiculous, or they don't justify exactly what you're actually trying to do. So you have a point to your point, I think. But yeah, it's definitely slightly more unbelievable. But I like that. That was a really cool scene. We learn about, Greg, do you want to tell us what a pathway drive is? Because I literally noted it down, and I was like, it's to do the spore drive is going bye-byes, and they're looking at this pathway drive going forwards.
Yeah, and basically the pathway drive is the fact that for centuries, right, they've had to rely on dilithium crystals to power their ships, their warp drive and other things. So they've come up with a pathway drive that apparently does not need dilithium crystals and is able to be powered in other ways, so that you don't have to worry about that any longer. So that's kind of cool. I mean, I would think, again, if you're 800 to 1,000 years from what we know Star Trek it was, okay, I get that. I would think there would be somebody that would solve that problem. So apparently the pathway drive is the answer to not having to worry about dilithium crystals all the time. So you'll be able to travel and go all over the place, light speed, everything without wearing out.
It's still not super clear what it is, though. It's their idea, but
No.
what exactly? I mean, it's very vague in purpose, I think, because they're still to work it out.
I mean, I'm giving them a pass, the writing on this one, for not explaining it, because I'm assuming that it'll probably get explained. Now, if they don't explain it and the series is over, then I'll be angry, because I'm going to go like,
we know it ends at the end of this season, Discovery, right? And it's had a decent run considering it's had its problems. If they come out with a new shiny drive at the end that's not the spore drive, but is an alternative to warp drive or a little bit quicker, I will find that cool. But bear in mind that that time in the future, Gray, we're supposed to have things like transwarp and slipstream and things like that. We're supposed to have these, but we never see them. We actually see it more. We see it more in Prodigy. So
you would think they would say things like that when they're right, they're in the ship or something, engage slipstream or something.
The reason we mentioned the pathway drive, and maybe I mentioned it one point too early, is because we have a new character on the scene, a guy called Raynor, and he's in another ship called the USS Antares, and Antares looks cool. I like to see another ship, actually, not just the Discovery, actually one from that century. And he mentions, he's chasing after them. with a tractor beam on him, and he's been asked to let go of the ship because it's going to mess things up. And he said, "Listen, I've had a pathway drive right now. I'd be able to do it." So he's bitching and moaning right off the bat.
Right.
Now we thought, well, I thought, to be fair, he was Romulan at the start, right? And the reason being because the ears and the attitude, he's got to be Romulan. But great, he's not Romulan, is he? What is he?
Now we did a little research, and apparently it's a little known species that was introduced in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, which goes back pretty far. And Raynor apparently is a Kelleran. So now we know he is not Vulcan
There we
or
go.
Romulan or anything else. He's a Kelleran. So
I didn't know that. I did not
be
know
that
that.
as it may, I just thought he was a very aged Romulan.
Yeah.
Or
I mean, we shouldn't be
but-
biased. Like several species have normal ears. Several species have pointy ears.
Yeah.
So
Look, I'm older than you. My ears are fine. See, that would be funny though. Also, like, I got 2 ears. Wait a minute.
Aye. So have you heard of the Kelleran species before, Gray?
I mean, I may have,
Um,
but I don't remember, the specific episode or anything until they pointed it out. So yeah, I mean, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. They want to bring back a species or whatever.
yeah, that's a good idea. If it's good.
I do have a problem with something they brought back, which we're going to talk about, but we're not there yet.
Okay. So this new Kelleran captain, Raynor, Captain Raynor, he's played by an actor called Callum Keith Rennie. Now, I recognised his face, so I googled him, and he's been in many things, of course, but I recognise him from the Battlestar Galactica miniseries, and also Battlestar Galactica: The Plan, the TV movie thing as well. He was the guy on the space station at the very start, pretending he was human and lost there, but it was the radiation that was actually effing him up, or fracking him up, to use a Battlestar colloquial. And he played the bad guy really, really cool. He came back later on as well, I'm sure, in Battlestar Galactica. So I was glad to see him again, because he's done quite a few things in sci-fi. So yeah, he's the captain of this guy. He's a bit gung-ho, Gray. He's a bit... He's not Burnham. Although she's a bit gung-ho, she's a bit more reserved on their feet on the ground. Raynor is very much, no, I'm going after him, I'm doing my thing, we're the same rank, F you. And he kind of does that. Do you like this character? What do you make of Raynor?
Oh, I liked him a lot. I thought he was great. I enjoyed him a lot. Like I said, there's some good characters they're introducing and stuff. It just doesn't, when they start outshining the main cast, you got a problem. But the point is that I don't care, because I'm looking for good things where I see not so good things sometimes in Discovery. And I do think this guy's a great character. So I really did enjoy seeing him and what he does.
Excellent. Yeah. I think he's going to be a brilliant character, and he sticks around. We'll see why when we get to it. But he is the captain, let's say, of the Antares. It's named after a 24th century Miranda-class starship, which was cool. And the reason I like this is because we touched on it before. We get to see another starship, not just Discovery, one from this century, and that's a really cool thing to see. I hope it sticks around this ship. It looks cool. It's not too unbelievable like we saw the one that was a rainforest starship, which I thought was just batshit crazy. Made no sense. I would like to find out the class of starship. I'll probably do that afterwards and find out what class of starship that is, because I don't actually know. But actually, Raynor with the Antares have got a lock on the ship, and if they don't let go of the ship, the lock, the ship will break up. Raynor doesn't want to let it go because he's been chasing these guys for a while, and that's why he bitches and moans, "If I had a pathway drive, this wouldn't be a problem." Yeah, very good. Burnham's getting,
and that's what we're hearing about it too, which is cool.
Yeah.
They dropped it,
Burnham's getting pissed off of him because okay, he might get away, but at least it'll be in one piece for us to chase after and get this part back that we need, this thing that was hidden on the ship, because something was hidden there. So yeah, he reluctantly let go. Let's go of the ship, the getaway ship with the bad guys on it, who managed to they kind of launch these. I almost think of it as when a missile is locked onto an aircraft, and an aircraft gives off the flares to this, send the missile elsewhere. I kind of get that vibe. It done that at the end just before it went into warp. I think it was some kind of thing to confuse the sensors so that it couldn't follow. That was my vibe that I got from that. So far, nice ship, another cool ship, another cool character. It's okay, not amazing. A character that came back though, and we knew it would from the trailers, is Book. Now I like Book. I like the character. I like the fact that him and Burnham are a couple. It just gets a little bit weird with them in a little while in this episode because they haven't seen each other for the longest while. I think they're a great couple, but I know you're not a fan, Gray.
I'm not. I like the character. I just thought, or my feeling was, they didn't really need him in the 5th season. I think it really just seemed to be a way that they had to put him in. It just seemed forced to me. Like, we got to put Book back in there because, the 15 fans that like him are, want him. I'm like, why? You could have won on easily. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but it sticks out like a sore thumb to me. I mean, it looks so obvious that they brought him back for this reason. And I'm like, you didn't need to. Do something different. And stuff. I mean, as much as I like the character and I like the actor too, you didn't need the character. You really didn't.
I don't know how much we'll see.
Whatever.
Maybe he won't be a regular character. Maybe it'll be a reoccurring, which would make it maybe a little bit better. Time will tell.
Yeah, well, something we're not going to say till we get to it. Is going to argue that point.
He done a boo-boo that he obviously, killed people before and he shouldn't have, and he's got his redemption arc with the Federation. He's literally going and helping people now, which is I like that redemption arc. I like that. He's been then instructed to go and help Burnham and the Discovery crew out because he's good at tracking people down. And he is, to be fair, he was a courier before, so that's his shtick. And we notice on the Discovery, Gray, I know you'd notice this as well, the Tribble at the background. Just going
definitely.
across the corridor, yeah. And I'm thinking, though, I just added this in today, it clearly must be neutered because we know these things breed like no one's business. So it's been neutered and it's been allowed to roam about like a pet. That was cool. I like that. That's nice.
I was watching it even as the scene was going on, and you started to see it like the thing that they were walking through was kind of like an oval shape or a circle. You see him going like this, crawling up.
Wouldn't it have been funnier if it landed in one of their heads? That would have been cool.
Yeah. They should have done something like that, or they should have made some comment like, "Weren't there a lot of those at one time?" Hey, go ahead.
That was cool. Little touches like that, keep them coming. Gray's favourite character comes back next as well. We knew she would. Tilly. He absolutely adores Tilly. He thinks the character's amazing. The actress is amazing. He's got the hots for her. Everything, man.
Sure.
I like
everything
Tilly.
Opposite of that.
She's a kind of weird genius, as we've seen.
Look, nothing against the actress, right? But the Tilly character is a complete bizarre ditz. I don't know what is going on. She goes from one moment to acting like totally stupid and immature to like, I'm the smartest brain on this ship, and I'm going to show you. I'm like, nah.
She's not the smartest brain. She is really intelligent, though. It's just because she's very goofy, it doesn't come across well, but she sees things from a different perspective, which is weird.
Again, I don't know if it's the material or what they wrote, but I've seen goofy characters that were intelligent in other shows, sci-fi shows that were way better than this character. And then of course, if you all don't know already, she's going to be probably the lead character in Starfleet Academy when it comes out, which is
which is going to take place in the 32nd century. So yeah.
Yeah, when that show premieres in 2 or 3 years from now, God willing, we're still doing this podcast.
We'll be checking it out.
I am going to force myself to watch that. I'm going to have Trev back and me going like, watch it!
It might be fine. Yes, the concept sounds shit, but it could be amazing. I just hope that they're on starships a lot of the time because it would be shit otherwise. Look, I know, but that's my fear. Look at Deep Space Nine. I'm not saying it was shit at the beginning, but it was definitely a lot better when they were on the Defiant. And I'm not being biased against my baby.
Well, when they went on actual missions and things and stuff, I mean, it made sense, and stuff. I mean, look,
even on the runabout was cool. but not
Right.
the same.
Babylon 5 was a station too, but it was one of the best sci-fi series.
Yeah,
It got
it's
out
possible.
there and did things.
It's possible,
You
mate.
know, it's but her, and I already read an article recently that said that the basic cast of the Academy are all going to be 20 years old or younger.
Well, that's the whole
So
point
soon,
of Academy. What are you
I
expecting,
know, but
man?
I know, but I was hoping that maybe, you can't have older people in the Academy. They don't have to all be teeny boppers. So I was thinking like, oh, okay, it'd be kind of cool.
There will be.
You know,
They're meaning the main cast, but there will be the instructors and like the admirals and stuff that will be recurring.
sorry, I don't want to watch
Anyway,
teen angst Star Trek.
there is a tangent that we're going on. I know we do tangents, but that's like way out there. Anyway, right. So we'll probably will be splitting this in the middle because it's already a really long ass episode. So yeah. So anyway, regardless, getting back to Tilly is there. She's come back to help them from. I can't remember the reason she came back, but she was. I think it's just
Was
her.
asked.
Yeah, that as well. She's got a kind of unique insight into things, and she's good friends with Burnham, so she's back from Starfleet Academy to help for a little while. I reckon she'll be great in, just one last thing, she'll be great in Starfleet Academy. That is probably what she's aimed at, because she's good at the teaching angle, rather than being on the starship, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah.
So yeah, she is back, and there's not a lot we can do about that. Maul and Lack are meeting this dodgy geezer, this dodgy guy on a like a sand planet called Fred. Now,
Fred. I love it.
I'm
Fred.
thinking Right Said Fred, the movie. I'm thinking Fred Durst. I'm thinking what a common, cool name this is. And it's because he's an android. If you're concerned about what name to give an android, just give it a really cool street name.
Yeah.
Fred.
Like Fred.
No surname, just Fred. He is synth, is his official title. A big shout out is Fred. A big shout out, sorry, is Fred starts looking a bit concerned. He's looking at this little. It looks like a child's toy, Romulan toy, a puzzle box, Rubik's cube. He can undo it because he's an android, and there's a little book inside, and he flicks through it at really fast speed. Turns out that he's 600 plus years old. That's why there's inspiration from Data's creator, Sung. This is why he looks that kind of class, because later on the androids look a bit different. And he's still going at that age is really, really impressive. But there is a shootout because the two bad guys, Maul and Lack, they see the concern in his face. Now, bear in mind, Data's generation, they weren't good at, the emotion was very new to them. Data only got that at the end. So this far ahead, Fred's obviously evolved a little bit, Grace, so that he can handle the emotions better. And a good thing he did, because if he was stone cold, you wouldn't be able to tell. But they could see the concern in his face, and they're like, no, why, you're an android, you're concerned, not a chance. Fred's not giving the stuff back. It's his ball and he's going home. He's not giving it back, and the shoot-up starts. They kill him, don't they? They kill the guy. I felt sorry for Fred. He has a family, apparently. Fred has a family. He did. It's what he said. He's a family. What?
I know. I was trying to figure that out. Like, huh?
I don't get
But
it.
I thought they were joking. That's why I figured.
So
whatever.
funny. That was hilarious, man.
Little Fred's running around. Fred Jr. and his sister Fredina.
What do you want for your Christmas? Some more data chips, please. Like some.
Yeah,
whatever
really.
they use, yeah. Some more memory. I want a RAM upgrade and a new Intel
Yeah, I
processor.
need some. I can't remember my breakfast yesterday. Get me the new RAM upgrade.
I don't want the AMD chip anymore. I want you to swap me over for a Intel chip. Yeah.
Yeah. There you
So
go.
many jokes, so little time. Overheating, Daddy. I'm overheating. So yeah, Tilly. I remember the reason she actually came back. Now, she is good at certain. She's got certain skill sets, and the thing is, Burnham's pissed off, Gray, because she doesn't know what she's risking her and her life's crew for this Red Directive. And even Vance, he doesn't have a clue either. He's out of the loop. So no one on the ship can go prodding because that would be against the rules. But if someone externally done it, that would be okay. So basically Tilly's the person to go start hacking in. And she does.
Yeah.
She goes hacking in, and she gets clues to what the box might be, Gray seems to think that she's a 12th level intellect brainiac. I mean, come on, maybe she's just got that skill, that she's got to have
No,
something.
and also, of course, she is looking all the stuff up inside the station, to which they finally figure out that she's doing something wrong. Took a long time because their security measures, I mean, clearly are not so good. It's like, so I'm like, okay, I believe all of this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's, and sometimes it's a bit far fetched, but they had to give her some angle. So she gets walked in upon. She literally, Admiral Vance walks in. Ooh, whoops, and he plays along.
What are you doing?
He wants to know. He wants to know
Of
what's
course.
going on.
Right,
So
right.
he's playing the line of, but in case they're recording the audio, he's like, oh yeah, it wouldn't be cool if you hacked in there, blah blah blah. But he's
Right.
wanting to know what's going on as well. So I'm thinking, fans, this is cool. He's not saying anything, keeping stum. We get a big chase scene from the bad guys as they disappear on speed bikes, and then they
Mm-hmm.
get on their ship, which is hiding in the sand outside. Really weird. And it starts firing phasers and photon torpedoes at Burnham and crew, chasing in the speed bikes behind. Think Star Wars, but like on the sand. It's the best way to describe it.
It's just basically Star Wars, but
Yeah,
that's another.
why are we dealing with photon torpedoes in the 32nd century, Gray?
Because they haven't evolved.
We had. I know why in the 24th century we didn't have only quantum torpedoes, because they took a lot more resource and time to make.
Right.
So they had to have a combination of the two of them. I get that. But I haven't seen a fecking quantum torpedo yet, I don't think, in the 32nd century. So
Yeah.
I'm really confused.
Well,
Anyway.
maybe they're doing old school. They just really liked them.
True. But I mean, it should be Discovery with the photons, then no one else. So yeah, they're managing to survive an onslaught from the enemy ship. They avoid almost every shot, pretty much. And then here we
on
go.
little bikes.
This is the cool bit here, and Gray thinks differently, but I think this is bloody brilliant. And sometimes you just need to let go of common sense. So it gives an idea that the ship, the enemy ship, is not going to go into orbit because the Discovery and Antares are there, and it'll just get smashed up. So it's actually going to go into the cave system, because it's a smaller ship. It's not like it's like a bigger than a Defiant, but smaller than a Starfleet typical starship, and it's going to go into the cave system and basically come out somewhere else on the planet and disappear. And they see that the cave has been mined, Gray. So they actually set off the mines to stop the ship from going in. But the downside of doing that is it gives them an idea. It causes a mini avalanche, which doesn't do much, but it gives the enemy ship a great idea. And this is what Raynor's saying the whole time. It's Raynor and Burnham. Raynor's like, I wouldn't have done that. You've given them an idea. They smash the shit out of the mountainside, and a big avalanche starts going towards the settlement that they were at before, with Fred's settlement. Not only is Fred Jr. lost a father, but they're going to get flattened now by this avalanche of rocks. But there's only one way to stop it. They need the shield from Discovery to stop this coming down, but they need the Discovery and Antares to come down. Now, what I thought was going to happen, Gray, was they would come down, hover near the settlement, and their shields would just do the thing, right?
That's what I was thinking,
Or I thought if they had time, which they didn't, land on the planet, but I don't think these starships are capable of landing on the planet, and that does take time.
They're not. Right.
Every bloody starship in the 32nd century should have the ability to land on a planet, I'm just saying. So I thought they'd come down, but they were in a rush. They have to go there. They have to come down to the planet as quickly as possible. I get that element. That does make sense. And they both have to put their shields up to maximum to stop this, right? So all you see next is literally two starships. And this looks visually cool, I must admit. Bombing it down towards the planet. They do cut power a bit, because if you're going in at full impulse, I don't care what century it is, you're dead. You're dead meat. You're not surviving that. They come down, slow right down, But then they both, in front of the settlement, nosedive into the sand.
Right to the soil, yeah.
Right into the sand, man. And they stop, and they're like, doink. They're just stuck in their station. Right.
Just, yeah, like a shot an arrow into the ground
Now,
or something.
that works. They save the day. The shields repel it, and the Discovery music comes on. It's kind of cool. Now, I know Gray doesn't like this. They could have done it better. I'll let Gray rant and complain first, and then I'll come back. Gray, why did you hate it?
I mean, I love the concept of what they wanted to do, and I love seeing the two starships coming down to actually do it. But when they both nosedived into the soil, I just went, no, that's just too unbelievable. Come on. This is not like shooting an arrow into the ground or a surfboard gets stuck in the sand. I mean, come on now. So what I fully expected was what you said. I expected them to hover above the ground and extend the shields out as far as they could, the two ships, and thus holding back the avalanche, and that was that. But no, they had to nosedive into the soil because some idiot writer probably said, "Oh, that'd be cool. Let's do it." So it's like, it
great.
just gets me crazy when I see stuff like that. It just gets me crazy. Not in the so-called old days. It just I don't know.
So my comeback to that is, yes, what you said is kind of true. That would have made a lot more sense. I think the reason they didn't do that is because they literally said both of them have to get down there really quickly, otherwise it won't work. I've got a funny feeling that if they come down in a controlled manner and try to stop and hover, that would have been too late. That's all I'm thinking, but they should have mentioned that. They literally should have said, listen, we can't do what we want to do, which is just hover there. Right. We have to nosedive in. We'll be able to survive it because it's 32nd century. We're fine. We'll scratch the paint, but who cares? But they didn't tell us that bit, so that's
this is what you and I say over and over and over and over again. Just give us a one-liner or maybe two lines, and we'll go with it if it makes sense. No, they just dive into the ground and make it look really unrealistic.
It does look cool, though. I mean, I must admit. Now,
oh, it looked great. Don't get me wrong. It looked super. But again, like we had mentioned before, if it was not Star Trek and it was some other whatever movie, you could have gotten away with it maybe a little bit better. But it's just...
What do you think, Gray, is going to happen then? Because, like, I know they can't realistically show what happens to the ships after. You do see the Discovery go back into dry dock. It literally, but it spore drives there. Now, I know that because of the effect of the spore drive. It literally comes in and it's still, the dust is still coming off it. The sand's still coming off it. That's why I know it's spore. Now, I've never known a starship to spore drive on the surface of a planet. It must have taken a chunk of the planet with it. I mean, how realistic is that? Yeah. I'm nitpicking, Gray. I know I am.
No, you're not nitpicking because it makes total sense.
And the Discovery can get out quickly because it has the spore drive. What about the Antares? How the hell did that get out?
It's still stuck in the sand right now.
Has it got a big crane? Is there a big crane? Beep, beep, beep. Now, I'm thinking starships in the 32nd century can get themselves out, like reverse thrusters or whatever, and they're okay. I'm thinking that's probably what's happened, and they go for a touch-up.
I think they bring in the Starfleet wrecking crew, and they just have a big old ship with a crane on it. And you're like, okay, they just pull them out.
Well, no, see, they probably do. No, see, we were joking. They probably have something like that because you have tugs in the. If you remember the attack on Mars in the 24th century.
Yeah,
I've got a little. Where is it actually? Wait a minute. Wait.
You could have a massive ship with a really big tractor beam. Pull you out or something. Oh, look at that. See, there you go.
That's a tug. That was literally the equivalent of what's in the water. It's designed for more to tug ships along or pull ships along. So yeah, it was a bit far-fetched, but it looked really, really cool. The ships didn't get too damaged. They say that Discovery needs a bit of a touch-up job, scratching the paint, minor things. It wasn't in for long at all. But this whole planet seemed pre-warp civilization, Gray. I'm assuming it's not because they don't mention the Prime Directive. But
why should they?
Yeah, but the local inhabitants looked like they shit themselves when the two starships had come down. Like, what the hell are these things? I'm guessing it's not pre-warp, but it's non-Federation. We know that much. So, did you think that was a bit weird? Did you think they were pre-warp civilization? What did you think when you saw this?
It kind of got the vibe that it was. Yeah, it was kind of weird. And then when they saved him from the earthquake, they're all going, "Yay!" like, how you saved us.
Well, they shit themselves, and then they're like, "Yeah." So, they knew they weren't maybe they are pre-warp, but they certainly knew about what was going on out there in the universe. So yeah, like wrapping up there, guys, because I know it's a longer one. The last part of this episode is the bad guys getting away. Of course they do. We're not really surprised at all. And we find out that Saru gets hitched. He gets married. The ambassador, the Navarre, but no, she's not ambassador, is she? She's president. She proposes to him, which catches him off guard completely. That was nice. It's cute though. They're a cute couple. Yeah. She even has
not actually married yet, though.
No, not yet. So engaged. Yeah. Sorry, engaged. Apologies. Yeah. There's a little bit of playfulness with her where she, you know, like maybe I'll have to mind meld with you. You know, she's almost got a smile on her face there. Actually, that's her being.
That's the Romulan side kind of coming out.
Is she Romulan though? That's what's the confusing part.
Well,
anyway,
I thought, from what I understand, the Navarians are kind of both. I guess they've intermingled over time, something like that.
Yeah, true. We don't know I don't know how long they've been back together. Those two species, actually, that's a good point. Well, same species, but you know what I mean. But anyway, So wrapping up, we find out more about the box. They literally call the bluff of the. What's his name? The doctor.
Fred?
The doctor. Not Fred, he's gone. He's dead. They do beam Fred up, actually, to try and... They were able to actually see what's going on with Fred. They beamed him up to the Discovery to actually read the data that's on him.
They even said that they got 15 teraflops of data.
Yeah, it's a lot of information. We find out, though, this is from TNG, the progenitors are back. Remember those guys? Now, I had to go back and double check. I do remember them briefly. They were in season 6, episode 20. And we never saw enough of them. It's like many of the ultra high-end species that we don't see enough of. You see a little cameo of, it was from the past. It wasn't like Patrick Stewart was in this. You see Picard from back in the day.
Yeah,
and I thought that was cool. Now, great. I'm getting the vibe that you're maybe not necessarily happy about. Are you happy with the progenitors coming back? I think this could be a really cool aspect if they do it properly.
Well, I'm not saying that I wouldn't look for something like that to be cool. What bothers me is that it looks like it's a blatant ripoff of Picard season 3. They did it for a reason, so that they can sit there and try to hook in people that watched Picard season 3.
How's that rip-off, though? They never done the progenitors in season 3.
Yeah, but look at the way the progenitors look. They look just like the changelings for the most part. So to me, it was done on purpose, and now everybody's going like, ooh, you know. And then they throw TNG as a hook, which is okay. I don't have a problem with that. I don't want to say for sure because I got to go back and watch that episode because it's been years. So I'm definitely going to go back eventually and watch that episode to see what that's all about. But going to something in the past is okay. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I just think it looks so much like it was so kind of patterned off of what happened in Picard season 3, which goes back again to writing. They can't come up with anything original, so why not we just, you know, kind of rip off other stuff? Like, sure.
Yeah. Well, time will tell at the very end how well they got on with this. I hope this could be really great or really crap. If they do it well, it could be excellent. It's. I mention this later on. I get very much Indiana Jones vibe from this, especially when it goes into the second episode. You really do, which could be cool again if they do it properly and do it well and keep it in the Star Trek form that we're all used to and not actually turn it into Indiana Jones. It could be cool because the progenitors are rumored to be the species that kind of seeded life in the galaxy, and this is basically some kind of map that will take them to where all the PCs are, and they can put them all together and they can find out the superpower. But we can't. This is basically what your man, the doctor, is saying at the start. We cannot let the bad guys get hold of this. The power will just be far too much. So I think it's cool. Gray, what did you give this episode a score out of, and why?
6 out of 10.
Oh dear, that's not good. That bad? Really that bad for you?
Yeah, it's just I just found myself not being. I wasn't really hooked, put it that way, except for a few scenes here and there. You know, and mostly the ones that Saru is in. So it was hard for me to just. it just wasn't grabbing me. It was meandering. I thought the pacing was totally off.
Yep.
So when I was trying to sit there and get into it, I was totally taken. It's almost like being taken in and out of immersion. You're like into it, and then you're into it, and then blah. It's just I couldn't stick. I couldn't stick. And the only comparison I can use, again, is if you look at Picard season 3, you never felt like that from beginning to end.
Yeah.
It was constantly like, just like in the old days when we used to watch Deep Space Nine, Voyager, original series. We were always ready for the next episode. It was like, man, that was good. I can't wait for next week, and stuff
Sure.
like this. But you don't get that you don't get that same vibe from Discovery. I'm not gonna jump up and down and go, I can't wait for next week.
Yeah.
But the other ones I could. All the other ones I could. Because you like Voyager so much. You were dying to see another Voyager episode. Can you truthfully say you're dying to see the next episode of Discovery?
Only because
come
I'm
on.
being starved for so long, But yeah.
True, but my point is that not like you did when you were watching good Trek or good high quality
Well, yeah,
Trek.
I'm not going to compare this to other Trek. If you do, you're going to end up having a bad time.
Sure,
Certainly not.
sure.
I gave it a little bit more. I gave it 7.5 out of 10, maybe 7, but 7.5 just because I don't want to be too
Being
similar
nice.
to the second episode and be nice. Yeah, there was some cool things, some cool characters, some cool scenes, cool moments, which I liked. Maybe I've been too generous. Maybe I should just give it a 7. But yeah, listen, a lot longer than I thought this would be, this episode. I'm going to kind of end it here, and we'll literally just kind of jump in and do a separate review of episode 2, just because people don't want to be watching 2+ hours back to back. It's too much. But yeah,
It's never enough for Trek.
Oh, there'll be more. We'll be back. But yeah,
No, you're right. You're right.
Until oh yeah, and of course, let's not forget. Join us if you check the description below for the Discord that we're on. The reason I mention that is because it's the Extreme Gaming Podcast Discord. We've got a channel there for the Trekway. Gray's got a channel in there for Gray's Green Room, which is an entertainment podcast, and of course we have a gaming podcast which it mainly centers around. So the Discord is the main link for all of them. We all have our shows anyway. Gray's on the Facebook and the audio platforms for Gray's Green Room, and the same with me. But yeah, if you go to that Discord in the description, that is the place to go, to be fair. But if you're watching just now, we'll be back in a minute. If you're watching it offline, then you watch the second episode whenever you're can be bothered, I guess. So until the next episode, great. Say hello, say goodbye to the people even.
Live long and prosper, everybody. Stay tuned.
Bye.